Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me for the QuickBooks setup instruction video. The setup process will take between 30 and 45 minutes, so please allow yourself the appropriate amount of time. To get started, please make sure that you have QuickBooks installed on your computer and you have both the IMS and QuickBooks open. So to get started, we're going to go to your system settings at the top right-hand corner of your IMS. And when this loads, we're going to go to QuickBooks Management. So with QuickBooks Management, this will be activated once you let us know that you have QuickBooks and you'd like to use it with the IMS. We're going to start with the first time setup section. And the first thing you're going to do is create a password for your QuickBooks. And this essentially allows for security between passing information from the IMS to your QuickBooks. So now I have created my password. And you'll see at the bottom right corner that the user successfully created. And this is the password we're going to use in the web connector when we get to that point. So the next thing to do is to go to the initial setup details right below here. We're going to download these three files you see with the blue link. First one's the web connector. It's going to take you to a QuickBooks page, which is done so that you can always get the most up-to-date version of the web connector. And we'll just save it to our computer. While that's downloading, I can go back to the IMS and download the other two files. Once these are all finished downloading, I can actually go and install the two programs, and we'll go on from there. Depending on where your Firefox is set to download the programs to, is where you will go. In most instances, it's going to be in your Downloads folder, as you can see here. The first one for me to download was the Downloads QBXML. And I'll just double-click on this and run the program. You can certainly install the XML while you're waiting for the web connector to download. And you can begin by installing the web connector as well. So both these programs are safe to use and they're pretty quick to download and install. And once the web connector is done, we can get started. With most copies of the QuickBooks offline, the web connector actually comes installed when you install the program, but we actually recommend using the one that we provide because it will provide the most up-to-date version of the web connector. So the next step is to go find the web connector and open it. For me, it shows on my programs here, but for you, it may be under Program Files and then QuickBooks. You'll see with the web connector here that there is a big blank screen here and a little button at the bottom right called Add an Application. You're going to click Add an Application and add the text file that you downloaded from our IMS. It'll be under the same folder as the XML and the web connector. You'll see here it'll be called IMS-QB, and we'll just hit Open. You will always get 1 to 2 messages when you add this file. The first one will authorize the new web service, and this allows for a connection from the IMS to your QuickBooks. So you're going to want to hit OK here. The next one you will see is that your QuickBooks will begin flashing at the bottom here. We're just going to want to open QuickBooks, and this will allow an application certificate between QuickBooks and the IMS. What I recommend is hitting yes whenever this QuickBooks company file is open, and that will allow for any time that you have QuickBooks and the IMS open, you can potentially have files being transferred back and forth depending on what setting you set. So I'll just hit continue here, and of course done. So it's going to match the IMS QuickBooks integration with the name of my funeral home company file. And now you'll see it'll load here. You have a few options when you start. First thing you're going to want to do is enter your password. And then if you just hit tab after the password, you'll get a prompt if you want to save it. And you're going to want to save it so you don't have to type it in every time. The next thing to know about the web connector is that you have two options. There's a box here that's called auto run. And with the auto run, you can set a default amount of minutes that the web connector will actually auto run for you. So if you're working with several records during the day and you don't want to have to come back and load this web connector every time, it can run on a predetermined amount of time. If you want to have more control over when your files are exported into QuickBooks, you can actually check this box here and it will do it manually. So you'd have to come in and hit update